Hi guys, welcome to Unpacking the Book of Mormon. My name is Caleb, and today we are on to chapter 3 of the first book of Nephi. So, to quickly recap what we read the last couple of days, they fled Jerusalem because it's going to be destroyed. Lehi and his family, Lehi and Sariah and their four sons, Laman, Lemuel, Sam, and Nephi. They flee. They take their tents and some provisions, and they flee for 3 days. They get about 150 miles away, or 250 kilometers ish, down to approximately this is the Red Sea, but it's probably the Gulf of Aqaba. There, where it opens up and stop being a river and starts being the beginning of a substantial body of water. And they've gotten there, and Nephi himself has prayed about. Laman and Lemuel murmured against their father, and he spoke some words to them. And Nephi went to the Lord himself and prayed, and got his own spiritual confirmation that the things his father was saying were true, and that Jerusalem would be destroyed. Now let's go on straight to chapter 3. And it came to pass that I, Nephi, returned from speaking with the Lord to the tent of my father. So literally right after he's had this great spiritual experience and stuff, and knows that everything his father is saying is true, he goes to the tent of his father, and his father comes out and says, "Behold, I have dreamed a dream in which the Lord commanded me that you and your brothers should return to Jerusalem." And we just left. But behold, Laban hath the record of the Jews, and also a genealogy of my forefathers, and they are engraven upon plates of brass. So there's these brass plates, like metal sheets that are bound together. A set of brass metal sheets that with engraven record of the Jews. So talking about the scriptures, the Bible, with the genealogy of his parentage. Wherefore the Lord hath commanded me that you and your brothers should go down to the house of Laban and seek the records and bring them down into the wilderness. And now, behold, your brothers are murmuring, saying it's a really hard thing I've required of them. But behold, I haven't required it. It's a commandment of the Lord. Therefore, go, my son, and you'll be favored of the Lord, because you haven't murmured. So that's what his father says to him. It came to pass that I, Nephi, said unto my father, this is a really famous classic verse for any member of the church. I will go and do the things which the Lord hath commanded. For I know that the Lord giveth no commandment unto the children of men, save he shall prepare a way for them, that they may accomplish the thing which he commanded them. Now, when you have all those THs on the end of stuff, and some of the old terminology, it gets a little bit confusing. So he's basically saying, I'm going to go and do the things the Lord has commanded us to do, because I know the Lord wouldn't give any commandments unto us, except unless he prepared a way that we might accomplish that thing that he's commanded us to do. So he's saying that I know the Lord, if he's commanded us to do that, he must have prepared a way for us to do it. So I will go and do. That's a really powerful, beautiful little lesson there. And it came to pass when my father had heard these words, he was exceedingly glad, for he knew that I had been blessed of the Lord. He could tell by the way that, and this is another thing, so to any church members or Christians who are watching this, when we have integrity, when we have in all times, in all things, in all places, let our light shine, let the light of Christ shine within us, let our testimonies of the gospel shine forth, and let that faith and confidence that we have shine forth. People can see it. It's not a hidden thing, and we shouldn't seek to hide it away. We don't want to bury our candle up under a bushel, but we want to set it in the middle of the house to fill the whole room. And I, Nephi, and my brethren, so my brothers, we took our journey in the wilderness with our tents to go up to the land of Jerusalem. And it came to pass that when we gone up to the land of Jerusalem, I and my brethren did consult one with another. This is all pretty straightforward. So we went to Jerusalem. When we got to Jerusalem, to the land round about, we consulted with one another, and we cast lots. That's a bit of a confusing term, but it's kind of like drawing straws, or rolling a dice to kind of see who should go in. We cast lots to which of us had to go in to go see Laban. And it came to pass that the lot fell upon Laman, the oldest, most begrudging brother. Laman went into the house of Laban, and he talked with him as he sat in his house. And he's still like is obedient enough. He's still good enough here that he's like, even though he's begrudging and murmuring, he's still going down to Jerusalem like his father, like said the Lord commanded them to, and he's still the lot went on him fairly, and so he's gone and spoken to Laban. And he desired of Laban the records which were engraven upon the plates of brass, which contained the genealogy of my father, the history of his family, going back in the history of the Jews. And behold, that Laban was angry. So we can take care of that Laban, as Laban had the records, he and Lehi must have been related. They were probably cousins or something. But they probably had a common grandfather or great grandfather or someone that he knew that Lehi was. His genealogy, his family history was on those plates, and it had also all the scriptures and stuff, the books of Moses and things. And it came to pass that Laban was angry, and he thrust him out of his presence. So Laban, having the records, he was obviously somewhat wealthy. We know that. But he thrust Laman out of his presence, and would that he should not have the records, and said unto him, Behold, thou art a robber, and I will slay thee. And Laman fled out of his presence. Of course you would if someone was going to kill you. And told the things which Laban had done unto us. And we began to be exceedingly sorrowful. And my brethren and I were about to return unto my father in the wilderness. So, they're like, oh, well, they just took this. And I imagine, they were fleeing the first time. It probably took them more than 3 days to get back to Jerusalem. For one, they were going uphill a lot of the way because, Jerusalem is uphill. That's why we went up to Jerusalem and went down into the wilderness and stuff like that. So it's uphill. It's harder to get there. And they're taking this trek uphill back to Jerusalem, and Laman takes a shot at it and then doesn't quite work out. So they're about to return to the wilderness. But behold, I said unto them, As the Lord liveth and as we live, we will not go down unto our father in the wilderness until we have accomplished the thing which the Lord hath commanded us. Now, it's important to understand, in case you don't know, that when you have that terminology, as the Lord liveth, and as we live, right there, that is an oath. What he's doing here is he's swearing an oath that, basically, God strike me down if we go down to the wilderness to our father without having accomplished this thing. So that's pretty bold words right there. Wherefore let us be faithful in keeping the commandments of God. Let us go down to the land of our fathers. So let us go down to the land of our fathers' inheritance. So we gather from that, go down to the land of our fathers' inheritance, that land of inheritance that we talked about earlier that they abandoned, before he left gold and silver and all manner of riches there, that he must have had some sort of property, outside Jerusalem, downhill somewhere, and all manner of riches, and all this he hath done because of the commandments of the Lord. So basically, Lehi was blessed because of his obedience to the commandments. He has all his riches and stuff, and we have all these riches there because he left it there because of he was obedient to the commandments of the Lord. For he knew Jerusalem must be destroyed because of the wickedness of the people. Behold, they've rejected the words of the prophets. Wherefore, if my father should dwell in the land after he had been commanded to leave, behold, he would also perish. Wherefore, it must needs be that he fled out of the land. And behold, it is wisdom in God that we should obtain these records, that we might preserve the language of our children. We'll preserve the language of our fathers unto our children. So he's saying, God has set this up wisely, and he's commanded us to go back wisely, because he wants us to obtain these records that we might keep our language. And that we might also preserve unto them the words which have been spoken by the mouth of the holy prophets. So the scriptures, again, are really important to them. They fled for their lives, and then they've come back specifically to get the scriptures. So, again, that's one of the really important things that we can learn here right from the beginning of the Book of Mormon. The importance of scriptures, the importance of prayer, the importance of obedience to the commandments of the Lord, of following what he says. Even if things seem hard, we don't understand how, like going and doing what the Lord said. This way, the Book of Mormon is really powerful and important for us developing our faith in Christ. So the words which have been spoken by the holy prophets, which have been delivered unto them by the Spirit and power of God since the world began, even down to this present time. So again, it's a reiteration of, we have all these words of the prophets from Adam to Moses, to Abraham, to Moses, to Jacob, Israel, I think Joseph and 12 tribes and stuff, Egypt, all that stuff, Isaiah, Jeremiah, you have all these records that came before this time, all these holy prophets. And it came to pass that after this manner of language did I persuade my brethren. So he used these reasonings. He explained that why it wasn't a stupid thing what their father was doing. He said like he's been obedient, and like God will provide a way, and like it's important that we do this because of these reasons. We need the words of the holy prophets, and we need the genealogy of our family history, and to preserve our language and writings and things as we flee, because it's like Jerusalem's going to be ransacked and destroyed. Like it's not going to survive otherwise. And it came to pass, and they went down to the land of their inheritance, and they gathered their gold and their silver and their precious things. So they got all their wealth and property basically, and they took them back to the house of Laban. And we went unto Laban and desired of him that he would give us the records which we gave him on the plates of brass, for which we would give him our gold and our silver and our precious things. We're like, okay, we asked him for it nicely. He wanted to kill us and accused us of being a thief. We'll pay for it. We'll take all our riches that our father left behind, and we'll give it to him, all this wealth, for the scriptures. And it came to pass that when Laban saw our property, that it was exceedingly great, and that it was exceedingly great, he did lust after it, insomuch that he thrust us out, and sent his servants to slay us, that he might obtain our property. So, interesting here. So Laban here is wealthy enough that he has some servants, he has some big powerful servants who like are guards with swords or something, of people who can kill them. And basically he casts them out and then sends his servants to go kill them and take their stuff. And it came to pass that we did flee before the servants of Laban, and we were obliged to leave behind our property, and it fell into their hands. So they fled for their lives again, and lost all of their riches and stuff that they were trying to buy the scriptures with. And it came to pass we fled into the wilderness. So they fled the whole city, and the servants of Laban did not overtake us, and we hid ourselves in the cavity of a rock. It came to pass that Laman, the eldest brother, was angry with me, and also my father, and also was Lemuel. So Laman and Lemuel were super angry with Nephi and Lehi. Lehi wasn't there, of course, but for he hearkened unto my... Okay, Lemuel was angry too, because he listened to Laman. Wherefore Laman and Lemuel did speak many hard words unto us, their younger brothers, so Nephi and Sam, and they did smite us even with a rod. So basically they've picked up a big hunk of wood, and they're beating up their younger brothers for this thing, because they're taking out their anger and fear of being scared of their lives, and for being put into the situation that they're doing this. They're beating up their younger brothers for it. And it came to pass, as they smote us with a rod, behold, an angel of the Lord came and stood before them, like boom, and spake unto them, saying, Why do you smite your younger brother with a rod? Know ye not that the Lord hath chosen him to be a ruler over you, and this because of your iniquities? Behold, ye shall go up to Jerusalem again, and the Lord will deliver Laban into your hands. So we got here so an angel intervenes here, and that. So this is again reaffirming what we had at the very beginning of the chapter. Nephi's faith. He said, "I will go and do what the Lord commands, because I know the Lord is going to provide a way." And like they had tried twice, they asked nicely. They tried giving money for it. Both times, Laban sought to kill them. And so, but the angel came and said, "Hold up, it's not done yet. Go again, and the Lord will deliver Laban into your hands." And you need to listen to Nephi, because he is spot on, because he is following God and he's not murmuring. And after the angel had spoken unto us, he departed. And after the angel had departed, Laman and Lemuel again began to murmur. saying, "How is it possible that the Lord will deliver Laban into our hands? Yea, behold, he is a mighty man, and he can command 50. Yea, even he can slay 50. Then why not us?" And so we get a little more detail here into Laban and how they were afraid of him. It's if you look at the structures of the Jewish military, they had captains of tens and captains of 50s and captains of like hundreds and captains of 500 and 1,000 and stuff like that. So like there was a hierarchy of captains, and so behold, he is a mighty man and he can command 50 implies that he was a captain of 50 in 50 soldiers. And so he had this somewhat prestigious military position. Not really, probably not a general, but he was certainly like a lieutenant or something up there in the structure, somewhere a little further up there in the structure. I'm not sure whether captain or I know it's different for like Air Force and Army and other things like that. But either way, he was in charge of a group of 50 soldiers and said, yeah, even he could slay 50. So he was somewhat of a mighty man. And even though he sent his servants to like chase after them, like they're like Laban himself is a pretty scary dude. He could kill us. So but again, Laban and Lemuel here, all they're seeing is the hardness of the task before them. They don't understand how it's going to be done. And I think that's one of the other really important takeaways from this chapter here is that each time Laban and Lemuel are murmuring, they're like, we asked him. They murmured before they left on the trip. They murmured once they got there and drew lots to see who would go and have to talk to Laban. They murmured after Laban asked and got sent away and they sought his life and he fled. They murmured and said, "Oh, I can't do it. We're gonna leave now." They murmured again about their riches, about Nephi using their riches, but they did it, and then they murmured that they beat Nephi up and Sam with sticks or rods for putting them in this situation. And then even after an angel appeared to them and stopped them and said, "Dudes, chill out, go back, listen to Nephi, go back to Jerusalem, the Lord is going to deliver Laban into your hands." And then he departed, and then they still murmur, like, "How is that possible? We can't do it." So again, despite the witnesses they've seen, despite their Lehi's testimonies unto them of the things that he's seen, Jerusalem's going to be destroyed, despite Nephi's words saying, "Hey, we're going to be righteous this way, we're going to do it, Jerusalem's going to be destroyed, we need to preserve our scriptures, they're super important, that's the words of the prophets there, there's really a bunch of important sacred things here we need to keep for our learning and knowledge so we can help our children come to know God too." After those two witnesses have had, after seeing an angel, after those three witnesses, they're still like, how are we going to do it? It's too hard, sort of thing. And so I think it's really important in our lives, when we not everything that is worth it is easy. In fact, you often find that the easiest path in life is rarely the best path in most situations. It's easiest to bend before whatever comes, and that doesn't mean you're standing tall and facing it. That means you're just giving in. So Laban and Lemuel have this very sort of negative attitude. So we can see here from this family already, we can see with this thing they're going through this challenge, they've got this thing that the Lord has asked them to do, and we're seeing two different reactions here. Laban and Lemuel are murmuring, they're begrudging, they're like, "How can we do it? It's impossible, whatever." And Nephi is like, "I know that the Lord will provide a way, even though it's not easy." He's not complaining here, he just had his brothers beat him up. He was chased, by guards who were trying to kill him too. They fled for their lives. He had to take the journey too. But again, so it's perspective. And one of the reasons why Nephi has that good perspective is because he was humble enough to seek the Lord, as we saw in yesterday's chapter, in chapter 2. He sought the Lord for an answer and received a manifestation of the Spirit. He was told, he was given answers from the Lord and given comfort and given strength to do hard things. And so it doesn't mean that it was any easier for him, like physically, than it was for the others. In fact, he got beaten up. Laman got chased twice, but Nephi got beaten up by his older brothers with sticks or rods or whatever. So I think we can all learn to handle trials and challenges in life better. Like God has his commandments that he wants us to do. He has things for us to do because he wants to bless our lives. And often the best path in life is not the easiest path. It might not be the hardest path, but it's usually harder than it is easier. It tends to take some, like tests and trials in life and stuff tend to do that. They challenge us, they test us. And so they see what we're made of. And this is where, as we rely on the Lord and we take those witnesses that we see, we take that testimony, that continued comfort and guidance, and hold fast to that. Hold fast to the scriptures and to the Word of God and to our relationship with God. That's how we get through the hard times, and we can still have that faith that Nephi has here to go and do what the angel said and go back, even though his brothers, like after all the witnesses they've seen, still can't, like, can only see what they can see in front of them. They can't walk by faith. And we'll see more of this story tomorrow and what happens next tomorrow. But tomorrow? We'll see. Might not be tomorrow. It might be next Monday. I might try and do a couple extra though. We'll see. All right. Anyway, thank you for tuning in today. That was the 3rd chapter of Nephi. Tomorrow we're going to find out what they do after this situation. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys, and tuning in. We'll be back with more of the Book of Mormon, unpacking the Book of Mormon chapter by chapter. Thank you so much for watching, and I pray that again you are watching and listening with an open heart, open to the Spirit of God. You can feel the power and the truth that's in the words of the Book of Mormon, because they do bring us closer to God. They do especially bring us closer to Christ, and as we'll see. And there's also talking about the Lord hath commanded and things like that. Typically, I find in the scriptures that when they say the Lord like that, they're talking about Christ. And stuff. Jehovah in the Old Testament, Jesus in the New. Anyway. And I say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.